Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, very good. How are you, Rachel?
I'm doing great. To start, I think the what I really like about this movie is no matter who you are, you've had that kind of pressure on you to do well from someone in your life, whether it's your parent or a job or whatever it is, for
Yeah.
you for you both. When you're doing a movie like that and it does have that stress, how was it for you guys to either go back and relive that like teenage pressure to make this movie come to life or like just the stress of like yeah I know that well for this poor girl.
Yeah. I mean, especially in that kind of Asian families, just reverberates that, doesn't it? I mean, for me, it's always like, especially, of parents who are immigrants, they have sacrificed so much that all they want is your security, and all she wants is her dreams, and it's kind of like that's the kind of the bashing of it all.
Yeah, I feel I I was just thinking about the film this morning and I was like, oh, this is kind of like an Asian horror film. You know, like for like Asian people, it's about test taking and like not doing well in school.
Yeah.
And I think that part of what I loved about the movie was this idea, the original film was this idea that like we all have that moment in our lives where test taking, that anxiety, that very visceral feeling of taking a test. And in a lot of ways, a test is like the first evaluation you face of your worth. It's like the first judgment society renders of who you are and where you're going to go and what the doors are that are going to be open. And I just think that's very relatable for all of us. So it just felt like really natural to drop into that. And when you have a cast of wildly talented folks surrounding you, it makes that job very, very easy, I think.
And Benedict, I wanted to ask you, you listen, I love your filmography because you go from being one of the funniest things in a project from like I love him to like this dad who is very like, yeah, you're gonna make us proud. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want anyone to ever say that to me. But for you, what is the joy of going from like project to project and doing like these big budget action movies into something like this that is a smaller indie film that lets you kind of show your range more as a performer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have my own personal sort of dowling stick, that looks for the good story, and that is it, and I just, for us all is to listen to our internal guidance system of the gut, and it's just kind of like, is this, how is this, and the script was so beautifully strong, for a wonderful director here, and it's like we had a great shorthand of like immediately talk. Can I talk to the director? I am the writer. I am the director, and just as JC said, just this wonderful young cast. I mean, I'm the veteran of the piece, and just seeing them sort of flourish, with Jabari and Kalina, and this is incredible that this is her first ever film, So I'm just watching her. For me, it was just kind of this young, white-eyed young actress that was like, shaking and wanting to do well, and it was kind of like, guiding her as well, and developing this relationship between father and daughter. Yeah, so that was a wonderful thing to explore for me.
Yeah. And JC, when you are directing something that is already a movie that people can turn to, how does that change your vision as a director? Do you ignore what came before to make sure that your version of it is different, or do you try and like honor it as best as you can?
A lot of my work has been adapting material for different genres, different formats, right? I've adapted books for television and film and stage. And I find that the rule of thumb I always have when I'm adapting something is to go right to the thing that people love about the original source material, right? And then your job, I think, as a director or as a storyteller, is to protect that thing that people love. And I think what people love about the original, which I think is a wonderful film. I mean, there's no way I would ignore the original film because I just think it's a awesome, awesome thrill ride. And I felt like my primary job was just to translate the story for Western audiences. And that was it. Like I think the film works really well. I think the storytelling is great. The characters are great. All I had to do was say, okay, for a Western audience, what do we need in order to sink our teeth into this story? But definitely honoring that material and leaning into what works well about it. I think if you have a great film that you're adapting, you shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel and make it your own for some egotistical reason. You should say, this is what people love about this, and let's make it so that more people can love what we love about it.
Yeah. And I do want to ask both of you, because I do think it's very interesting what we decide to adapt as Americanized or Westernized stories versus like the original becoming well known here. Like I'm thinking of like Parasite, but then we also just had Speak No Evil have an adaptation from the Danish to an Americanized version of it. What is it about this version of Bad Genius that you were just like, no, I think I want to, like, this works as a completely different thing for a Western audience versus just being like, hey guys, you should watch this movie from Thailand?
I mean, I think that, look, I think everyone should watch the original film. I think it's fantastic, right? I think when there's an opportunity to expand the map for something, you have to take that opportunity, right? Because they just don't come along very often. And while, yes, like I want everyone to see that original film, I think we have paid homage to that original film in a really great way. And so I'm excited for the film. I think all of this should be in conversation, right? Like I think our version of the film should be in conversation with the original version of the film. The original version should be in conversation with our version. And that's what great art does, right? It like builds bridges between cultures. It sparks dialogue between different people, and we share each other's stories and we see what kind of is the same about us.
Yeah. And Benedict, I want to ask, when you have a character that is, at his soul, he's still just trying to do the best for his daughter and his family, but it is like sometimes it's hard to watch because if you had parents who wanted you to be the best, it is not triggering is the wrong word, but it is that moment of like, oh no, I remember this. How do you still find the moments to like ground him in his humanity and his love for his kid in the midst of making sure that he's still that strict parent so that we have that feeling?
I mean, he's kind of sort of torn though, isn't he, really? I mean, with his late wife as well, and about how, what he wanted to some degree of getting her to MIT, or what is this mecca really of education for him, and pulling her away of what she used to do, and it's kind of, for me, I enjoy that sort of that tussle really as part of the story. Yeah, again, it's hard, isn't it? Because as I say, it's him wanting to secure her future, and I think most parents tend to feel like that, really. But it is about following your passions, really, and then you probably never work ever again. Really, it's work, but it's not work. That's why I'm in this profession as well.
I 100% agree.
I'll just add to that too. Benedict and I spent a lot of time on set trying to triangulate and fine tune the nuance of like, when does he come down on her? When is he loving? When is he pushing? When is he pulling back? And it was a really finely calibrated thing, because you have to discover it on set between the actors. There's words on pages, and like we kind of think what the scene is going to be, but oftentimes Benny would come off of the set and be like, I just feel like I hit her too hard there. I think I got to lean back, or I got to lean in a little bit. It's all very like nuanced in terms of the work. And he's such a gifted actor in that way. He can give you all the different gradients of the character, and we get to sort of choose in post sort of what feels the most truthful to us.
I love it. And for my last thing, can I ask you one Wong question, Benedict?
Yes.
Just one.
Okay.
I want to know, what show do you think he's binge watching now?
What is he watching? He's probably watching Perfect Couple, isn't he?
Yeah, 100% is watching Perfect Couple. He's gonna watch that, and then Nobody Wants This. He's just on the Netflix it. Thank you guys so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone to get to see Bad Genius.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.